it's not just one thing that determines the win. It's, you know, myriad of factors. Like strength is definitely a factor. Speed is a factor. Skill is definitely a factor. Now, obviously you maximize whichever works for you.
With all the different forms of martial arts that you did, what did you notice the most value out of?
Most value?
Yeah, and interpret that however you like.
Depends on what I mean, jiu-jitsu is obviously good for the grappling and ground combat. For the standing portions, like each thing had something to contribute. Like Taekwondo will make you a very proficient kicker. So if you're good at, grappling, but you suck at kicks, you throw a little Taekwondo in and your kicks will advance, quite a bit. So Taekwondo taught me how to kick. Jiu-Jitsu taught me how to grapple. And through working with a lot of these guys that I messed around with, I picked up quite a bit of boxing and actually some Wing Chun techniques that were actually useful. A little cheesy with the Wing Chun, but it's actually quite useful when you look at it, because even like Krav Maga takes aspects of Wing Chun into its style. It's just Krav Maga is like a blend of a bunch of different things, right? And Wing Chun and Muay Thai are some components of that, especially in close quarters. And when you got to deal with the guy having an object in his hand, like a weapon, it's actually pretty useful for pairing strikes or being in like a confined space. If you had to fight someone like in an elevator, Wing Chun is very useful at close range like that. Now, when you start to grapple, things, it kind of, once again, goes out the window, and then you transition to another skill set. Because with fighting, fighting is not just one skill set, right? There's punching, kicking, knees, grappling, and even within the subcategory of grappling, is like the wrestlers are good at maintaining dominant position, but can they finish? Whereas Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guys, even off a less dominant position, they can choke you out.
Exactly. Yeah. It's there's been this like prevailing belief, and I think this is primarily because not even primarily. This is 100% because of like the Gracies and UFC and stuff like that. That it's like the king of all combat is jiu-jitsu, and I feel like that's because for the most part that kind of equalizes a lot of fighters. Like someone can, like you said, someone can be in a bad position and still theoretically choke you out. Whereas it's like, if you're, if you're striking against someone who's twice your size, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be outclassed. Like it doesn't matter if you're really, really good at striking, you're probably not going to be able to put enough force into someone twice your size to actually harm them. There's a video, and I'm pretty sure it was like Rampage Jackson, where someone has him in an armbar and he the one I'm talking about, picks them up and slams them on the so that started remaking or like recirculating through the internet again. I saw you post it. I saw another friend post it.
I remember seeing it back when it happened. Back in the old Pride days.
So that is such a crazy thing. And when I was doing jiu-jitsu probably 3 years ago or something, it was my first day ever like doing jiu-jitsu. Okay. And there's like some 14-year-old kid who's like about to go for his purple belt. And they're like, oh, is anybody down to spar with him just so he can do a demonstration? And no one raises their hand. I'm like, I'll do it. And I've got probably 50 pounds on this kid. Yeah. And we start rolling and everything. And he gets me in an arm bar and I stand up. And again, I had never done jiu-jitsu, so I don't know if I'm allowed to like pick this kid up and fucking slam his ass. So I look at the coach and just like look in his eyes and I'm like, can I do this? And he just does that. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I just, kind of like let the kid tap me or whatever. But it's like, it almost seems like to an extent, if you have got mild skill and weight on your side, it almost seems like that's going to top out, or that's going to take the win no matter what.
I don't think so, not necessarily. So it's not just one thing that determines the win. It's a myriad of factors. Like strength is definitely a factor. Speed is a factor. Skill is definitely a factor. Now, obviously, you maximize whichever works for you the best. If you're a bigger guy, you're going to utilize your size and strength the best you can. If you're a smaller guy, your skill level needs to be high and you need to be quick. So you maximize whatever is available to you at the moment. That being said, even with those, like when you pick the guy up, like I had a friend, he's a black jiu-jitsu black belt now, but I was bigger. So what I would do, I would, try to, when he get me a position, I'd start to stand up, try to pick him up because I could. But as soon as he felt me stand up, he'd hook a leg and sweep me.
Oh.
So as soon as I began to lift him, he would go for a sweep. So he would ruin my leverage right off the back. As soon as he felt me, so he kind of nipped that in the bud as soon as it started happening. Right. He got very good at nipping me in the bud before I could do that. So usually a skilled practitioner, as soon as he feels that happen, he's going to try to sweep you. From armbar position, as soon as you stand up, usually you have to put one leg forward. They're going to grab that leg and then pull and leverage the armbar, and you'll end up back on your back.
Wow. Okay, that's a
same
good
thing
point.
same thing with the triangle. Now in the case of Arona and Jackson, Arona didn't get a chance to grab anything before leg. Rampage had him up in the air and power bombed him onto the mat.
Yeah.
And that's also a double-edged sword in jiu-jitsu too. Like if you don't knock the guy out, actually when you power bomb them in, you can actually sink the choke deeper for yourself and screw yourself over a little bit. If you don't knock the guy,
that's a really good point, actually. Yeah. And Glenn, I'm gonna have you toss that video over this, by the way, because it's a really, really cool clip.
Yeah, in that case, it worked out great for Jackson, but it hasn't always worked.
Right.
So it's a little risky. So
there's a lot to be said too for people, and this is myself included, because my buddy Cruz and I were talking about this, where because he's probably got like 40 pounds on me, but I'm a lot stronger than him. I've got a much more athletic background, and like my brain immediately is like, oh, I could whoop Cruz's ass. And then I'm like, Cruz has probably 3 years of jiu-jitsu training on me, and I have maybe 1 year of Muay Thai training on him.
Yeah.
And I was like, there's also this like cognitive dissonance among men, and that includes myself, where it's like we think that we have this idea of what we're capable of, but it's like when it really comes down to it, you have no idea what your opponent's actually capable of. And it's fucking crazy humbling at times, because even that little kid, he was like, like I said, 14 or 15, something like that.
Yeah. That
one kid, I mean, he got me in an armbar so freaking quick, it was like beyond what I could even comprehend as possible.
Yeah, I've had that happen to me myself. I had a friend who was a fighter, another friend, because I for a little while I was working out at the NorCal Fight Alliance in Santa Rosa, and I saw an old friend there, and so we rolled for 3 seconds. Within 3 seconds, he was on my back and rear naked.
Yeah,
like he got around me. Scary. And I was powerlifting at the time. I weighed about 220. He was 150. I was 220. He was so quick, and he worked me over real quick, even despite the weight class, and I couldn't get him off my back. He leveraged himself just perfect. So you couldn't throw him. So if you ever gone up against really skilled jiu-jitsu guys, even if you try to throw them, they will leverage themselves out of position that you can't get leverage for a throw. And I felt that very, very terribly when the owner of that gym was Dave Terrell. Dave Terrell's a former UFC fighter. Okay. He was kind of a journeyman fighter, and then he's actually gone to Abu Dhabi. He was probably in the early 2000s one of the top jiu-jitsu guys around.
Oof.
Like in the world. So he let me roll with him. He was maybe, I don't know why, maybe he was bored that day. I don't know. But at that time, he used to fight in the 185 class, but no, he got a bit bigger. So we were close in body weight. I felt like a baby trying to wrestle a man.
Yeah.
I could not catch him off balance, out of position, anything. He was perfectly poised, perfectly balanced. I couldn't push or pull him at all. Like just a brick wall. Like even though I was, a power lifter, right. Like theoretically, greater muscular strength, but his balance sensitivity was just so on point that as soon as he felt a little shift, he counteract,
reposition, and just like get back in control again.
Yeah, I couldn't even get like an inch of leverage because he counteracted right away before it even happened. So it's very quick. And I don't know, I lost count after about 33 times of him tapping me out, but he kept letting me try. He was like, keep trying, you'll get better, keep trying. I was like, all right. So I kept trying, but it was discouraging at the same time. Like, when do you get an opportunity to roll against like someone like that?
Yep.
And he gives you his time. It's just like, so I was like, yeah, I'll take the time. I'll get my butt beat, but hopefully get better through the experience.
Hey guys, thanks for watching that episode. If you got some value out of that, please give me a little subscribe somewhere in there, whether that is on Apple, Spotify, wherever you're listening right now. And you can also find me on TikTok, Instagram, pretty much everywhere, honestly, at AndrewPFM. So yeah, guys, until next time, we'll see y'all later.